What's up, everybody? You probably didn't hear it, but the lovely, incredible, the un, the
Unrivaled.
unrivaled, the reigning, defending,
Oh my god.
undisputed champion of music, Elton John. We just listened to Tiny Dancer. I hope you're listening to something. Hopefully
Hopefully you're listening to us.
to this and then something else. Music and just audio ideas in general are going to get you through this COVID-19. With that said, hi.
Hi.
This is the Thinks
And
Drinks
Pod.
Cast.
That's Nate. And I'm Jordan.
Hey, how we doing? We are your go-to. Well, not your go-to. We are a podcast married.
We are a podcast.
a podcast married couple, and this is episode 4. We have quite a bit to cover because it was quite the weekend. The weekend of today's the 7th. That's what I was doing just now. The 3rd and 4th, right? For the 4th and the 5th.
Yeah.
The 4th and 5th of April was interesting. I don't want to get into necessarily everything that I have prepared immediately.
Well, I mean, first of all, we got to do the cheers.
Well, that's true because this show is called what?
Thanks and drinks.
Damn, I was hoping we could do it again.
No.
Come on.
Thanks.
And
Drinks.
pod.
Cast.
That's right. And the crux of this show is that there's drinks, not necessarily alcohol always, but so far up to date, that is indeed the case. What have we got today, Jordan?
Well, first we're cheersing.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Salud. Bubbles.
So we're drinking the 2016 Ocean's Reserve from Iron Horse Vineyards in Sebastopol, California. It's a Blanc de Blanc sparkling wine from California, which means that it's all Chardonnay grapes. Blanc de Blanc in French literally means white of white.
Yes. This. I mean, we've talked about Iron Horse kind of at length, but this wine specifically, the Ocean. Now that I don't want to say I know what I'm doing, but I kind of can navigate, pun intended, the ocean of wine. A little more intellectually but also being open to even things I may not think that I like, because if there's one thing I learned, Landmark Vineyards in Kenwood, you weren't the biggest fan of some whites, and then you got to visit a white from Landmark, and then you and I share the same idea that maybe I'm wrong. I'm very happy with being a pancake, a flip-floppity pancake on ideas and things and whatnot, because it's important. It's part of your not just developing your palate, not just developing your mental health, but developing yourself as an individual. And COVID-19 has definitely taught us a thing or two about being able to develop as an individual. And I think wine has definitely been one of those things that I love the shit out of it a lot. And today, when we got to check Iron Horse out to pick this up,
Pickup only. Or shipping.
It made me realize, like, oh, fuck, I love wine tasting. I love this shit.
I miss it
so much. The Ocean. Tell us more about it. Do you want to? I'll grab the bottle. You start.
Well, a great thing that Iron Horse does with the Ocean Reserve specifically is that they have partnered up with National Geographic, and it's either 5% or 10% of the proceeds from every bottle goes to ocean relief funds to help clean up the ocean and keep our happy fishy friends alive.
Not just fishies.
Fishies and turtles.
Turtles and sea otters and
dolphins
seals.
and all the other non-fish things that live in the sea, which there are a ton that we
Millions.
don't even know about.
Oh my god, the species of the ocean.
Ocean?
Oh, the
The
ocean. Yes, the ocean. The ocean. Why are there so many species? Randy Olsen. I'm from Afghanistan.
Oh my
so the
god,
Olsen.
that is not in Afghanistan.
Christopher Walken says
What is
Olsen.
happening?
Christopher Walken. The ocean, I love it. You know, some of you that know me know I love surfing, skimboarding. Definitely working out at the beach is the best way to trick yourself into an incredible fucking workout. You know, skimboarding is a great example because it's plyometrics, it's cardio, it's all core. But you know, also throwing frisbees, American
Beach volleyball.
right? Beach, fuck, dude.
That's a workout.
Talk about explosive.
That's a workout.
Oh my god, because you're squatting
And jumping.
and you know, being explosive with this range of motion, right?
Yep.
You know,
Gotta have
bumps at spike.
Strong forearms.
Your butt gets worked, and this because of the sand. You know.
The only time I've ever like actually broken a bone where I had to go to the hospital was from volleyball in middle school. My pinky went all the way back to my wrist.
Jesus, how old are you?
I was 12, 13.
Oh my god.
Yeah. It wasn't fun. I had to wear a splint for like a month and a half.
I mean, that's a young age though that you kind of learn. Sorry about the dead air there.
It's just like, oh god, my wife.
That's an age that you learn that you heal pretty quick, but you don't. You know, pain. Things hurt a lot, and I
Yeah.
think when you get early memories of it, I don't want to do that again. You know, you start to realize, oh wow, there's a lot of things that I don't want to have to happen
Definitely.
again. Because you know, the first broken bone, the first really bad sprain, that's gonna stick with you, and that injury might stick with you as long as the memory.
It wasn't just that I broke a bone in my pinky; it's that I also ripped a tendon. So I had to have my these two fingers taped together
Yeah.
with a stick.
Look at you. There you go.
Basically.
Wow. You sound like an athlete that was because you're not really like whining about it, but you're just kind of like, it was really inconvenient. I still played.
It was my left hand. So.
I used that hand quite a bit. It's hard to play guitar when your hand's broken.
See, I didn't play any
Another thing you can do at the
instruments.
beach, play music, have jam sessions.
There you go.
Back to the ocean.
Back to the ocean.
The first injury, I think, sticks with you so much, and it's unforgettable to the point that I remember when I was rollerblading. First of all, if you're gonna be like doing extreme sports, you gotta wear appropriate gear. Otherwise, you're gonna end up with bad scarring. Not just lose flesh, but also your hands may not be the same.
You can get gravel stuck in you.
Will damage your nerves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so wear the appropriate gear. And I was 12, 13, 14. I don't remember.
Great age to get injured.
Right in Bennett Valley, kind of near the park in Bennett Valley, Santa Rosa, California. For those of you that don't know, I had rollerblades, no gear, not even a helmet.
Oh, that's stupid.
And I was, like, that hill looks fun.
Oh my god.
My hand, no flesh. I got speed wobbles because so how it went. Maybe a hill that's at an incline of nothing crazy, but it was steep, so probably about a 60-degree angle.
That's really steep.
Sorry. Well, okay. Well.
Okay, so 45 is like that. Take 90 degrees. Take half of that. That's 45.
So I'll have this. I'll be generous. It was like a 50-degree angle, and still, nonetheless, that I got so much speed. I got the wall. First hill was fine. Right, come around, about to come down on the second bunny hill. Next thing I know, speed wobbles. And I probably was trying to like catch myself.
So you hit like a curb?
I don't know. I was sorry. In the middle of the street.
Yeah, this is also an audio podcast.
Right. Sorry. Right. There is an audio version of this. In the middle of the street. Next thing I know, in the air. I definitely went further than I meant to because my body also slammed in my chest and my hand got caught under my chest.
Oh.
Yeah, again, this hand was covered in blood. I was screaming in pain because I literally just tore my flesh off my body. My big brother, I think he was riding his bike or something, and he carried me in his arms because I was still didn't really hit the growth spurt, then. So he carried me, no problem, and that was kind of the last thing I remember.
Also, little kids are a lot stronger than you think.
True. And the next day, I had to at school. There was something, and I really had to bandage my hand, and I remember that I essentially made a cast because I was lucky that I didn't shatter my hand, and
Yeah.
that's what's so funny about well, not funny. What's interesting about a terrible injury memory that you really start to realize, wow, this could have been a lot worse, and how lucky you are, and fear. My grandma, sure, she was a lot of things, but she made it clear that I tell you not to do things like this not because I'm unfun, which she was absolutely looking at you, Lorraine. But she was absolutely right that because it only takes once. And what's fascinating about I don't want to say generation, but individuals that are older that have more experience, even if it's like a 12-year-old and a 17-year-old, that experience is going to make all the difference of hopefully avoiding something fucking terrible.
Well, literally, that I tell the kids that I nanny that all the time. They'll be doing something, and I tell them no, and they keep doing it, and I tell them no, and
Exactly.
they keep doing it, and I say, you're gonna get hurt.
I'm telling you, you're gonna hurt yourself. You're gonna hurt yourself.
I'm not telling you no because I don't want you to have fun. I'm telling you no because I'm here to protect you.
What's up, Lorraine?
I literally say that to the kids. And then, you know what? They do it again. They hurt themselves. And as they're crying, yes, I'm comforting. And I'm like, now you see why I told you not to do that?
You know what? That's I like your example of using childcare as your as your perspective, because you're absolutely right. That's kids are just idiots.
They don't know yet.
Just idiots, and I love kids. They're great, but there's a reason we don't have any yet. Namely, because they're far too expensive, and California is too expensive to have kids especially in your 30s now. But I'm so afraid of being an inadequate father, or excuse me, how about this? I won't even gender it. An inadequate parent, or just incompetent, or not paying enough attention, because like, oh, that's Christine. It's just not paying attention due to whatever sporting event, whatever convention, and also being on the road doing shows and whatnot, and especially cons, because when things are back up and running and the world is hopefully a version of what we remember, so many people are going to be having to grind really, really hard to catch up, and that's when you're in media and multimedia development, content creating. It's a little different, but we can only make good content if we're out doing things and being interesting.
Well,
you can't make good content from home unless you're reading a shit ton
we're doing that right now.
of news. Right, exactly. But you have to have, especially podcasting and needing to be accessible to a lot of markets. It's really important to go do things and have experiences to talk about, as opposed to, well, this really interesting article. Those conversations are great. However, it's just conversations, not an experience.
I think you also, just because you feel that you're not ready, you put limits on it. Like, oh, I won't be able to do the things that I want to do. But all the people,
not untrue.
All the people that you look up to and watch,
Yeah, Joe.
80% of
Joe
them
is
have kids.
Joe is a kid in his 20s, and her 20s. And from his first wife, which did not work out. And I don't want to, speak ill of their relationship. It just didn't work out. But even Bert, when he and Isla were Isla, excuse me, Leanne. Sorry, I know, I'm a fan. Come on. But when early on in his career, when they were super broke, he was still crushing it.
Yeah, and they still had kids.
Getting better, still had kids. Tom and Christina Pajitsky as well.
Mm-hmm.
So even Brian Callen,
Schaub,
just had a second kid.
Yeah.
But it's, a lot. What's fun? What's interesting about a lot of like male comics? A lot of them have kids because they're kind of idiots and like, oh, sex is good. Oops, now you're pregnant. Whereas female comics on the road,
well, a lot of them don't want kids.
Yeah, it's really fascinating.
Well, unfortunately,
Christina is
huge,
interesting. A unique case, though.
There's a huge difference between just men and women as parents in America. Is there's an expectation that the man is not supposed to raise the kid 24/7, that they are supposed to go and do work, and
right. Bill, Nia.
Women get shamed.
Shame. Shame.
But don't you miss your baby?
Shame.
Who's watching your kid? I don't know. Did you ask their father?
Did you ask parent B?
Or there's such a thing as paid childcare, or there's grandparents, or good friends, or uncles and aunts.
Well, especially same with music communities and all the cliques and
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to say fraternities and sororities, but the organizations within the different types of music and how people organize naturally and
Mm-hmm.
and choose their friend groups and tribes, if you will.
Yeah.
What's fascinating about that is it's the fucking same, man. Like, hey, I got a show tonight. Well, I got a show before you. Could you watch my kid? A lot of single dad, single mom types, right? Yeah, I'll watch your kid after my set, and then I'll just, when you get home, I'll just bounce because that's generally how some conversations go because you have to go from gig to gig to gig to gig,
Mm-hmm.
and also, help out. Like I'm sure there's plenty of, like mom pals in show business
Yeah.
that will watch each other's kids off and on, and I don't know why. We have podcasts like Where My Mom's At, Christina
Mm-hmm.
Pajitsky, and Greg Fitzsimmons, and he has a show. I forget the comic. I'll look it up right now. But parenting podcasts. There's a lot of parenting content, and it's fascinating.
But what I was saying before, how female comedians are seen completely different than male comedians when they have kids. Look at Amy Schumer. Say what you will about her comedy, love it or hate it.
Right.
She,
Thief or not.
I think it was 3 weeks after she gave birth to her son, Gene, she did a 10-minute spot at Caroline's in New York, and she was fucking shamed. All the comments from all these fucking judgy-ass moms.
What?
Where's your baby? Who's watching your kid? I didn't leave the house for a month after I had my first.
Fuck that.
And
I'm gonna go do a spot.
yeah, she had a horrible pregnancy. She had a hard birth.
Childish with Allison Rosen. Sorry, Allison. I love your shit. That's the name of the podcast. It was bugging me. Continue.
But yeah, it was 3 weeks after she had her kid. She was finally feeling well enough to leave the house. Let her leave the house for an hour or two.
Right.
Parenthood is not a prison.
Now, mental health is so important for guardian parenting.
Yeah.
Even being, I'm not big on mentors because that's a weird relationship. But even pals. Pals like tend to help each other out, and even, sure you may not know each other well, but well enough that yeah, dude, I'll come by, hang out with the kid for a couple. You go do your thing. Just leave all the information and anything you need. Just people that you like that are clearly okay. Like, come on.
And You can.
They're not doing coke around your kid. They'll wait to do their thing. All right. Fuck.
Also, totally go to cons with kids. Look at Felicia Day. She's a
Holy shit.
total con woman.
Yeah, right. That's how she.
And
that's how she afforded her podcast.
she travels with her kid. It's just, she probably also travels with her kid's nanny, and they're in the hotel room, I assume, chilling, and then she gets to hang out with her kid after the con.
I mean, you know what?
You can make it work.
That's I have cats. I don't have kids. And one has a stinky ear, and that's oh no. And I gotta pick up their poop and make sure they have fresh water, and clean dishes. Let's make that clear. It's just important for, your animals to, take care of their dishes too, folks. Mental health is apparent for everyone, but the steps of nurture. It's spherically, there's not a lot of components for the matrix of raising a cat.
Oh!
Hey! The gentleman!
And that is what happens when pressure builds up in your bottle and you don't put a proper cork in your sparkling wine.
Hey, that's
science.
That is a teachable moment from Thinks and Drinks. Thinks and Drinks teachable moment.
That was awful.
Shut up. But this wine is phenomenal. There was a story I wanted to get to, but it's so easy to talk about Iron Horse because we love Iron Horse.
And we've been dozens of times.
Dozens of times, man. The view was spring in the North Bay, closer to the Bodega Bay coastline.
Beautiful.
Is unique to the Pacific Northwest. I'm sure there's other regions that kind of emulate it in parts of the world. Because look at New Zealand.
Yeah.
It's similar, kinda. I'm not a
similar kind.
Did not go well. But there's how the grapes grow is not, it's wine, so it's a lot of them share similar characteristics, but the environment, the atmosphere from Bodega Bay Coast creates a lot of really, really unique. Rather, it contributes to a lot of unique varietals that would otherwise be, just this type of varietal found in other wines.
So, all of the growing conditions of wine, the word that you're looking for, because the French have a word for it, of course.
Of course they do.
Is called terroir. It's kind of. I'm
gonna Google that. We have Google now. It's been a minute since the last podcast. I mean, not really, like 5 days, but I've a few chords and a few things that I already had that I learned how to implement the strategy. Really changed the game. Sorry, bit of a technical development update. Continue.
So if you're Googling it, it's Terroir. Terroir. Like Pinot Noir. But that's the term in French. Basically, is all encompassing for the growing conditions. So it's soil, it's weather, it's are there hills around? It's all the growing conditions is
the complete natural environment in which a particular wine is produced, including factors such as the soil. Mm-hmm. That's a T word. I'm sure you can guess it.
Terrain?
Think graph.
I don't know. Just
topography.
Okay.
Jesus.
Do you see what I have to deal with?
Well, yeah, at least my girlfriend's more fun.
Not funny.
Damn it. Soil, topography, climate. The characteristics, taste, and flavor imparted to a wine by the environment in which it is produced. Noun, got the terroir. Plural noun, got the terroirs. So, wow, that's interesting because there can be multiple types of environments.
Yes.
Wow, for one wine, that's fascinating.
Yeah, go through a vineyard and
Right, some areas a little warmer, some are more cool.
this part might have a weird
Shade.
clay patch.
Right, shade too. Right,
Mhm.
right. That's micro topography.
Yes.
That's fucking fascinating. This so, I mean, don't get me wrong, beer's cool, but this is why
Beer's cool.
this is why wine is interesting, because there's a lot more components that can really define not what a winery is capable of, but one wine. One wine can be, this is the 2016 Ocean.
Yes.
The 2017 be totally different.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating, as opposed to like a Guinness is always gonna taste like Guinness.
Because they have a specific recipe. So it depends on your winemaker if they have a specific taste profile that they're going for. Like your Apothic Red is always going to taste like Apothic Red.
Yeah,
Because
that's
that
designer
is
wine.
the product. But especially in the area that we live in, and which is a very European style of making wine, they let the grapes talk.
As compared to
Your commercial wine.
Argentina.
No, it's a more traditional style of making wine, is allowing the grapes to shine, but you're always going to get your winemakers who impart more flavors with like a toastier barrel. So your Rombauer Chardonnay,
Much like when a beer is in a whiskey barrel.
yes, or if a beer is in a wine barrel.
The chemical makeup is kind of imparted into and disseminated throughout the entirety of the container.
Yes.
That is fucking interesting.
So
Bottled and bond.
there's quite a few Sauvignon Blancs that are coming out now that are fermented in concrete eggs. And that gives you a totally different flavor profile than your average Sauvignon Blanc, which is
concrete eggs, huh?
concrete eggs. Which is going to taste different than the exact same grapes fermented in a stainless steel fermentation barrel.
Wow. That's interesting. There's a few reasons I married you, and one of them is
My plethora of wine knowledge.
well, and you communicate it in a I don't want to say accessible, because then that suggests that wine is pretentious, and I don't want to say wine is pretentious. Anything can be fucking pretentious. Weed is one of the most pretentious fucking things I've ever enjoyed in my lifetime. I've seen every type of joint. You know who's the most pretentious about it? Fucking hippies. Sorry.
That was a classic Nate Channing rant.
That was a bit of a rant. I want to isolate the fucking hippies out of it.
Oh my god.
Use that for nerding too.
But to your point, I did learn how to talk about wine,
Sure.
which it can be a more intellectual, pretentious, anything sort of endeavor, but I had to learn how to talk about it so it was accessible to anyone coming out of middle of nowhere America who think that wine comes in a box. Or that their fancy wine is pink.
Whoa. I mean,
I enjoy my wine in a box occasionally.
I don't want to diminish what they like, but the way you make it sound like, come on, this also is an audio show, and if I were to close my eyes and listen to that, like, jeez, wow, what a bitch. Excuse me on my boxed wine.
I mean,
fuck, lady.
but it's also like explaining to people why this bottle of wine is $60 when they can just walk into Safeway and get a bottle of bubbly pink Moscato for $7.
You know, man, that is I don't want to say argument. That is a sound point, because it's so. Not everyone has like the money to throw at their hobby.
No.
Like that, and wine is definitely a hobby, because you have to take time to really develop a palate and find it interesting, and take time to go wine tasting wherever you live at, whenever there's wine
if you
country.
can.
So, I'm sure for some people, their pink bottle from grocery outlet that is super cheap, and has, they may understand, it may not. It doesn't matter. But the point is that it's wine at the end of the day, and that's at least a conduit into a really, really vast world of information and news, and more importantly, history. I've been reading this book, and it's taken me a while to get through because it's fucking heavy, and it's Wine and War. Could you grab it? It's actually behind you. It's the background is World War II and the Holocaust, and of course, it's Passover starts tomorrow, so it's kind of timely. But wine is there's a long history of thank you.
You're welcome.
Of war in the world and wine, and I stumbled on this book by Don and Petit Kladstrup. I'll hold it up for you, and I'm getting through it, but it's a really, really tough read. But the history of wine and how there's literally in the Eagle's Nest where shithead himself, you might call him Hitler, there was he didn't drink, and all this amazing, remarkable wine where was located in there. The vines were destroyed. They were made into fields of war and bloodshed and terror, and those families were wiped off the face of the earth. There's truly some unique wines that will never, ever, ever exist again. Maybe a version of them, and that's great that there's a version of it, but the recipe designed by those individuals is gone. And this fucking book...
It's upside down.
Right. This fucking book it's a damn good read. It's hard to get through, especially if you're Jewish and you also happen to grasp loss. But definitely give it a read, and you'll find out the fantastic and interesting history of a lot of wine. Going back to not just the 20th century, but the 19th, 18th, 17th. Wine has been a practice. Same with beer, spirits as well. It's been a practice for before people had ice. Since ancient Egypt, man. People left wheat.
There's a lot of fun stories about wine.
Yeah, not all of them contain war, but a lot of them do.
Dom Perignon, the very fancy champagne, was actually made on accident. Originally.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Back then the monks made wine for sacrament, and so it was a particularly cold fermentation season, and since they ferment...
What year was it?
No idea. I cannot remember.
I'll look it up.
Since they fermented in the basement, it would get very cold because there was no insulation, stone basements. And so they were fermenting their wine. Fermentation stopped, which normally happens when all your yeast is dead, or it can also happen when it's too cold. It's just like making bread. Your bread isn't going to rise if it's too cold in your house because the yeast doesn't have anything. It stops the chemical process of yeast eating the sugar. So fermentation stopped. They bottled all of the wine. Then that spring it started to get warmer in the basement, and all of the bottles started exploding because fermentation had restarted in the bottle, which is how you make sparkling wine traditionally in the Champagne region. And of the bottles that didn't explode, they didn't like it. And so they actually sold those bottles to the English, who were like, this is the best thing ever. We love it. And so the English actually popularized what we now know as champagne.
And champagne can only from the Champagne region of France.
Yes.
For those of you that don't know. But if you're listening to this podcast, you fucking know it. And California Sparkling is considered California Sparkling because it's better. First of all.
There's only one company in the entire world that is allowed to call it California Champagne. Do you know what company that is?
Corbel, bitch.
Yeah.
right near Russian River. So again, a unique climate that imparts and disseminates itself into each grape uniquely. 11 things you didn't know about Champagne. One of the largest champagne houses in the world still claims credit for inventing champagne. It's possible to verify the story, but legend has it that champagne was invented by the Benedictine monk Dom Perignon himself.
There's my story, everyone.
Perignon was cellar master of the Abbey of Hautevillers in Champagne, France.
Oh my god.
He was responsible for overseeing the extensive wine production done there and was therefore given the task of trying to eliminate bubbles from appearing in wine during fermentation. The bubbles were thought to ruin the wine. However, when Perignon failed, he tried tasting it, bubbles and all. "Come quick!" the legend says Perignon shouted. "I'm drinking the stars!" After this, champagne became its own highly valued genre of wine. Champagne isn't the only food that was invented on a chance occurrence. These now there's a link that goes further, but shirts featuring Thinks and Drinks with the quote, "Come quick, drinking the stars." We definitely need to do that.
Yeah, that's how the legend goes, but the one that I always heard is that the monks did not like that there were bubbles in the wine, so they sold it to the English.
So there's multiple stories.
Yes, because it was a long time ago.
Long time ago. We do have quite a bit of news. On Saturday, it was quite the day. I had a damn good workout.
Wow, the shade.
Well, you didn't work out.
No, I didn't.
You were blue.
I was feeling a little blue.
Blue. But she's back and better than ever. Days off, man. They're interesting. Next thing you know, something just clicks and like, ugh, I don't want to feel like that again. All right, let's do this. Saturday was fun. It was interesting and it was full. The evening was
Long.
so goddamn funny, but oh my god, what a shit show.
You want to tell them what you're talking about?
First of all, big thanks to All Things Comedy Podcast Network. Big thanks to Laugh Lounge. Big thanks to Starburns Audio, Amazon Prime Video, Earwolf, Comedy Central, Stamps.com. Definitely helped out with this a lot. If you're wondering what I'm talking about, what am I talking about?
Laugh Aid 2020. Comedy Gives Back.
Comedy Gives Back on April 4th of 2020. Thank you so much to the technical team involved. What a nightmare. It wasn't great. Do you want to put those bubbles back real quick?
Yes.
Thank you. And I'll keep going. It wasn't great, but what I will say, it was not great because there was some genuinely amazing, funny, hilarious moments that wouldn't have happened otherwise if we weren't in quarantine. And if Bert didn't live near Whitney Cummings, we'll get to that soon. I didn't know that I needed, a shit show from some of my most favorite people in the world. And more importantly, I didn't know that I needed to watch more charity events because you feel good watching it. You start to understand the community that you're involved in a little more, that we all share not just struggle, but the exact same fucking struggle. And what was really clear to me for my first opening thoughts with Laugh Aid is that there's so many comics that I don't know that I need to know, that I need to get on, our both of my podcast platforms.
Yeah.
That the comedy world, whether stand up, improv, comedy podcasts, comedic music, people like Tim Minchin who do everything, them having a lane and they have platforms they can do other things. There's a lot of people like that I need to get to know.
Roy Wood Jr., he was the star.
Oh my God. Cognac 19. You got it. I know you got it.
He actually had like a little bit of a set prepared. He was the best host overall because
he had so much time to prepare too and adjust what everyone didn't realize that they needed
he
to
also, it was all. He's a working comic that still hosts shows actively.
Yeah, right. Because he hosts his own. Very good. How do you know this?
Because he was on Guys We Fucked.
Hey, GWF. He did bring them up, and they were the funniest. First of all, Corinne is gorgeous. Shouldn't fuck. Sorry, I'll say it.
Jeez, first thing you say, you're like, yeah, they're funny, but Corinne is hot.
I said she's gorgeous. To
be fair, they're both beautiful
Gorgeous women.
but they have
there's
much more to give the world.
much more than just looks. You know that they're pioneers of sorts for not just anti-slut shaming, but being pro people and pro okay with yourself and pro mental health, to a point that they've achieved writing it into their acts without it being a podcast.
Yeah.
And that's what's so hard with a lot of these comics today is some of it just sounds like, you know, a one-person podcast, and that's I'm glad it's funny and interesting, and it has a lane, and people can go on the road and do that, and you know, do you, boo. But I don't think stand-up itself is meant for you to as a platform to share your not so funny ideas, but have a conduit of jokes through it. Yeah, I think it's a little more. It's more deeply rooted in great writing than what some people are doing with stand-up. But these ladies are not doing that. They're avoiding their podcast is one thing, their act is another.
I think a big thing that's different about them is they were like decently new comics when they started the podcast. They had been working both for about 4 years in New York.
Yeah, still like you're good, but you know, put your time in, right? Pay your dues. What the fuck that means? Fucking hate that phrase.
They were already a comedy duo before the podcast. They had a YouTube series called Girls on Girls. It was them.
I gotta fix them. Keep going.
It was them watching episodes of Girls and live commenting on it. So they already had these bits going, and then they started the podcast, and they got to just be themselves. And yeah, they're funny, and it's a comedy podcast. But there's so many of these comedians that have podcasts, which it's great and it's funny, but it feels like they're doing their act on the podcast, and they're not just being real and talking.
Trying to sell tickets.
Yes.
And don't get me wrong, that certain points in a podcast do that, but don't do it the whole time. Come on, have some fucking class, dude. I feel really strongly about this because, you know, Adam Ray, we love Adam Ray. He'll have people on, and he'll just be, you know, trying to have some are definitely interviews, some are conversations. On About Last Night, Brad Williams left the program to have a baby. Congratulations, Brad. You grabbed my wife's ass.
He sure did.
Sure did. Not really appropriate, pal.
Yeah, I was okay with it.
Hey, dirty laundry. Let me just wave that dirty laundry
You're
around.
like, let's talk about things that bother me.
Adam Ray, he'll have some people on that now and again that just, you know, that are maybe, I wouldn't say struggling, but needing to move tickets here and there. So they'll be on too much as opposed to, you know, just chatting, you know, and having a conversation, and maybe, you know, talk about a book you read recently that isn't part of your act. I'm sure it will be at some point, but not yet. And you're not doing jokes about it because you're still digesting the information, or you know, new music, you know, some information podcasts, what you know, articles you read. But what Guys We Fuck do is that they really navigate the really murky waters of podcasting, doing your act, and the guests you're having on.
Yes. Well, they're
not mixing that into a cocktail whereas just one and focusing on it being good.
they've really
I
gotten
didn't realize
to,
they did a series together. I didn't know that.
Yeah, and they've done sketch shows together too. Their comedy duo is Sorry About Last Night.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I bet I'm sure it's hilarious.
Oh, and I mean they go on tour together still, and they still do like little bits and stuff
when they can.
Yes, they don't
Right.
just do a live podcast. They did that for a while. They called it the Guys We Fucked Experience, and
Sure.
they would bring people up and have them interact, and it was lots
absolutely.
of fun.
That's a lot of fun. It's good. It's fan service. That's important as fuck.
But they've really gotten to be a lot more themselves, because now they're behind a paywall. Luminary.
Hey.
Only $5 a month. Listen to the podcast. We are not sponsored by them, but I really, really support them.
I like what Luminary's doing.
Oh, you're very loud.
I had to turn myself down, but I realized I was a little quiet. Guys Who Fucked was great on Laugh 8. They were tight. They knew exactly what they were going to do.
They had a game set up previously.
Now, it was also via satellite, which means one thing. Time zones.
Yeah.
What time was it there when Guys We Fucked was on?
1:30 a.m. about?
That sucks.
I mean,
You're already drunk. Or
they're
you're trying not to.
They're comedians. They're used to being up late. That's their hours.
Well, yeah, that's those are your working hours, right?
Yeah.
Odd hours.
Mm-hmm.
They played a game, and it was Dumb Bitch,
Yeah.
right. Wow, I remember.
It's a word association game. Yeah.
Yes, and so, I loved how Roy Wood Jr. interacted with them on it because, well, they're also friends already.
They are friends.
And he's kind of watches out for people and takes care of people and stand up in New York. If you're New York comic checking this out, thanks. Appreciate your hard work out there. It's
And be safe.
Yeah, please be safe.
You guys are in a hot zone right now.
Do not leave the house this whole 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This week.
Get
That's
your
what
groceries
Dr. Anthony Fauci's
delivered
saying.
if you can afford it, and then wipe everything down.
Yeah, we'll get to that a little later. I really appreciated how Roy Wood Jr. was interacting with GWF. Corinne and Christina, they just did it was so professional.
Yeah.
For a charity event that didn't go overall. It was fun. Did it go great? No, because it was very very little time and it was pretty thrown together. But they did great. And now, if you're a fan of and you've been wondering if you should go see Guys Who Fucked, yes, you should absolutely 100% catch their show and. More importantly, subscribe to Luminary and catch their podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Pay for it. Because you know why? It pays their bills.
There's also quite a few podcasts on there that are strictly for Luminary. I haven't checked them out, but they're making big moves over there. And they recently lowered the price. They started at $8 a month and they lowered it to $5 a month.
Really?
Yeah. Making it more accessible. And it's in more countries now. Yay.
Well, that's good.
So if you're listening...
Democracy is awesome, isn't it?
Right? If you're listening in Ireland, you can listen now.
Hey, there you go, right?
Yeah.
Well, even if you have a VPN in whatever region you live in the world, then you obviously know what you're doing. But if you don't, you can enjoy it. So let's go ahead and walk through Laugh Aid a little bit. Let's hit the highlights.
Howie Mandel yelling at producers. That was a highlight for me.
That was awesome, especially because Eliza kind of kicked it off, her and her husband, before they did their episode of Don't Panic Pantry. So it was literally thrown together. These people clearly didn't clear their schedules. I appreciated how Laugh Aid started because. Yeah, it wasn't necessarily, you can't be touching people right now, right? So what the fuck are you going to do? It's all by satellite. It's all by Zoom, owned by Facebook, minding your whole conversation, all your data. and providing transcripts and then uploading them to the algorithm overseen by Sirach or whatever the dude's name is from Westworld.
Oh my god. I was about to say Ciroc, not the vodka that is owned by a rapper.
No, that most definitely not. But there were so many cats that didn't know how to navigate this. So it was this and it was that, but I don't want to hate it too much. What I do want to say is one of my favorite. How about this? We'll just do favorite things. Bob Saget.
Bob Saget, just as Bob Saget.
Bob Saget having a conversation with Joe Coy, and fuck, I knew I should have wrote that down. With Joe Coy, who had a great story about Bob Saget bringing up.
Robin Williams.
No.
Yeah.
Were you paying attention?
Yeah, I was.
Oh, right. It was Robin Williams. I'm trying to think of who the guest was that Saget was talking to. Fuck, I knew I should have wrote it down. It wasn't Tom.
It was Howie. It was the transition. It was Howie and Bob and Joe.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because
before Bob took over.
It was two bald guys with glasses. Because I kept making that joke.
Hey, you were paying attention. Sorry about that.
Rude.
Rude. I wish you had a sign that was like, rude.
No, that's my turn to camera. You see what I gotta deal with?
Bob Saget, Howie Mandel, and Joe Coy. That was such a treat because America's dad that didn't go to jail, as Bob said. Like everything he said was just jokes.
So funny. I mean, everyone grew up with him on their TV in Full House or America's Funniest Home Videos.
Yep.
And seeing him do his stand-up, I remember seeing him do stand-up for the very first time, and I was like, oh my god, he's swearing. America's dad is swearing right now. And he's talking about sex and dicks, and oh my god.
What is going on here?
That's also how I felt the first time I saw Eddie Murphy's stand-up, because I grew up with him as, the Nutty Professor and Dr. Doolittle. And
I did like what Eddie had to say about rewatching his stuff and saying, dude, like, ugh, now I cringe because, ugh, why are you saying that?
Some of it is still gold, but
there's a lot of it that's bigoted and hateful.
Yes.
Because it was funny then, and it was okay to be a bigot and hateful.
I mean, his suits, he was wearing them to literally make fun of Prince. But really, he became famous for wearing, purple pleather suits, and that's what Eddie does.
Why would you make fun of Prince?
Because everyone was calling him the F word.
No. Don't say that word. And it's not fuck. You can say that
word.
word.
We say fuck all the time.
You can say fuck all you want. You know what? Fuck! Say it with me. Fuck! Ah, fuck.
Ah, fuck.
Ah, fuck. Yes.
I won't do too much of that because I'm a woman and...
Oh, my God.
Inappropriate.
You do it a lot.
I don't need anyone to isolate my my sounds.
I didn't think about it.
And
oh, it's funny. So Bob Saget. Then there was another thing that occurred. Bert occurred. Bert happened.
Bert.
Oh shit! Bert happens. Bert Kreischer provided the best bombing of an interview.
Oh my god, it's so funny.
I've ever seen in my life. And Bob Saget got to destroy him. And that was, America's dad making fun of America's drunk. I just can't. That's pretty good.
I wouldn't call him America's drunk. He's America's party boy.
Party dad. America's party dad.
No, he's still a boy.
Hey, be nice. This is the machine.
Leanne would probably agree.
Maybe. That's a good point. Tom probably would.
The patriarchy. The party patriarchy.
The interview with Adam Sandler. First of all, let's back up. Whitney was saying hello. Bob was trying to interview her, and then Bert ended up crashing it.
So funny.
So we got Whitney and Bert kind of hanging out, and Bob was kind of chatting with them, And then the interview with Adam Sandler came up.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, poor. Thanks to Adam for handling an overly excited. I don't know if Bert was drunk.
I think he was just really excited and nervous. He fanboyed.
Right, you meet your hero, you fanboy, you say fuck around Sean Astin. It happens. And you know what? Now you call him a bitch whenever you see him.
Which you don't. Oh, you mean on television?
Yeah. He's a bitch.
No, you're the bitch.
Bert did, say what you will, I think with the gold that came out of the whole occurrence, and post interview and Bob Saget getting off and Whitney taking over, it was just such comedy gold that everyone in that stand up specifically. I don't want to say comedy because there's a lot of types of comedy, but stand up specifically, everyone's going to be talking about this forever. Of course. I remember when Bert bombed on with Adam Sandler. Oh my God, wasn't that fun? Wasn't that great? Well, yeah.
What did he call? Oh, Precious Gems.
Precious Gems.
Precious Gems.
The name is clearly Uncut Gems. I haven't seen it yet. We're gonna watch it during Passover, of course.
Precious Gems.
I mean, it might be a Passover movie every year.
Oh my God.
It's a Jewy thing to do.
Adam Sandler?
Yes. But Bob was hilarious. Couldn't get. I was hoping he could host the remainder of the evening, but he couldn't, unfortunately. However,
they had other hosts lined up.
They had other hosts, and let's see. I want to bring it up right now.
I loved that Whitney's neuroses and her perfectionism really came through because she was getting very, very annoyed with all the fuck-ups that were happening.
Yeah, Whitney doesn't fuck around, dude. If imagine trying to film like a special.
That's why her specials are flawless.
She is in that editing room with the director, choosing the cuts. And that's, say what you will about some comics being lazy. Sure, there's all kinds of there's all kinds of great examples of lazy comics. Sure, but like champions of the industry. She is a fine example of that, and I think she's incredibly underappreciated. For not what she's done just for stand up, but what she's done for women in stand up specifically. Providing a voice and she's not afraid at all, and of anyone. Mind you, she's a millionaire.
One of those happily childless comics we were talking about.
Happily childless, indeed. Let's see. I'm trying to bring up the lineup for
I can go on Christina Hutchinson's.
Yeah, because then we can
Instagram.
we can run through it.
It didn't have the full lineup, but it had who was on each hour.
Excellent. And pause. And we're back.
Hey!
Short amount of time for you. Couple minutes for us. All right. So hour one is not on here. Hour two. Brian Callen and Shaw, they popped in and left a message for everyone. It was a few minutes.
Yeah, they didn't do anything funny. It was just like donate.
Pre-recorded.
Yeah.
Al Magical, co-founder of All Things Comedy Podcast Network.
Oh, he was funny.
That was really cool, man. I love that guy.
He did like a mini set. Which was great.
Yeah, he had jokes prepared.
Yeah.
And he's taking it seriously.
Consummate professional.
Well, I mean, he trained going back and forth from Cobb's to Punchline. every night, and we've done that walk.
Yep.
It's not a long one. It's short. It's nice. It's a nice jaunt. Can loosen up, get ready for the next set. Thanks, Al, for everything that you do. Love you, buddy. Kevin Pollock. I really appreciated what he and Bob got to talk about because
Oh my God,
Mrs. Maisel.
Old man humor was spot on.
Oh God, old guys, old white
you
guys.
love old dudes.
Especially if they're a little Jewish or Jewish.
Old Jews.
Oh my God, that's the best. Thank you, Kevin Pollock. He was one of the OG podcasters, and really kind of paved the way. I wouldn't say paved the way necessarily, but he definitely contributed, with Kevin Pollock's chat show, back in the early.
Not to be confused with Kevin Pollock's cat show.
No. So thanks again, Kevin. Then the Sklar Brothers with Dan Van Kirk. They had
a
mini
couple
podcast.
of games. That was fun.
Right, they did a mini show, and then David Spade, of course,
Who had nothing to say except for donate. He literally said, "I did not prepare for this.
I don't know what to do right now. I'm David Spade. I have more money than you
We'll ever have."
ever. Donate. But he got a little real, and then of course. Jeff Ross, the Roastmaster General, with his
And David Tell.
dear friend, the great and powerful David Tell. Bob, Jeff, and Dave.
So
Oh
funny.
my God.
So funny. I mean,
Comedy gods, dude.
Jeff totally went for the cheap humor at first with the panties on the face as a face mask.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Cheap humor, but he's such a nice guy that he can get away with it because he's not gross and creepy. That he can do something gross and creepy and you're just like, oh, he's just being silly.
Well, he's your dad.
Nah, he's your funny uncle.
The one you're close with.
He's the drunk uncle that's not creepy.
Right?
Yeah.
Right? Like, I know this cool spot. Let's check it out. Let's go. All right. Next
He's
thing
the
you know.
uncle that gets you high for the first time.
He's the uncle who gives you your first beer.
Yep.
And condom. You
And
got,
joint.
you got a date? Here. Beer, condom, joint, money, decent amount of money, and depending upon how old you are, maybe some blow.
That starts to get to be a creepy uncle with the blow.
No, it's good. It's good. You kids have fun. Be safe. Oh, by the way, I got you a hotel room.
You're getting into creepy territory.
But why-
I don't think you know the line.
I thought that's a really cool uncle.
No, that's a bad influence uncle.
Your version of cool and my version of cool are very different.
I'm like, yeah, condom, that's fine. Yeah, beer, that's fine. Yeah, joint, that's fine. Hard drugs in a hotel room? No. That's irresponsible.
How did so here's the scene. Unnamed persons get a call from a cop. So, find your daughter in a hotel room. Don't know what happened yet. Cut to earlier.
I think my very first question
My
would be...
my version of the cool uncle, supplying all the things needed, right? And that kid not realizing, do a little bit, have some sex,
You can't
save some.
give a teenager or even like a 18-year-old, 19-year-old
That's what I mean by a
drugs.
teenager
They
now.
don't know how to deal with it.
Right? Like, hey man, just take a little bit, jerk off, have some fun.
No, you can't do that. You're creepy and a bad influence.
Oh my God. Cocaine and self-pleasure, kids. Have fun. It's harmless.
I think they're jacking off enough without the drugs.
Oh, that's funny. But Jeff Ross and David Tell, seeing them together, bumping mics. Nothing's better than two
So
buddies,
funny.
like having celebrity friends, Paul Rudd, Bruce Willis, come up on the stage and, roast whatever you want to roast together.
Also, happy birthday, Paul Rudd.
Hey! Happy birthday, champ. Paula Poundstone, her set was very funny. because she did it in a forest where there was nobody. There were trees. And Jessica Kirsten finished it. I believe she finished it off. Thank you for your contributions. We appreciate it. Hour 2 and hour 3. Craig
That was
Rob.
Whitney's hour, right?
Whitney's
Yeah.
hour. Yep. And Bert crashed it. Drew, hour 3, Whitney and Craig Robinson got to hang out. He did a comedy song.
Little COVID-19 song, Corona.
Right. He's something he's working on. Drew Carey. I thought he would have a few things to say, considering his ex was recently murdered
He
by
was not
Gareth
about to bring that up.
Pershouse. Well, right, but not that, but like something about being positive and working through these hard
Stick
times.
together as a community.
Something, but
Nah.
Nope.
No.
Donate.
Donate.
Then we had Big J and Dan Soder. No, they were they were moved. They were bumped. Mark Normand unfortunately he couldn't show. Bobby Lee and Kalila.
They had a couple of games.
Right, they had some fun games and it was cute.
They were cute.
He reminds me of myself quite a bit.
He definitely had. When he is unscripted, you can tell that he has like ADD. Because he's all over the place. And she's very calm and it's, okay, well, we're going to do this next. And we're going to do this next. Who does that remind you of, honey?
Me.
And me.
So thanks to Bobby. By the way, the new episode of Bad Friends is hilarious. Appreciate it. Taylor Thompson and Sam Morrill.
Oh, they were so cute.
I love them as a couple.
Her
special is amazing. His special killed me.
Their sketch at the beginning, so funny. What happens when you're stuck in quarantine with someone you just started dating.
Yep. Yeah. And their series that they've been doing is going really well.
And then just getting to chat with them and Whitney was nice. And you're like, okay, so you do actually like each other. That was just a sketch.
Yes. Yes. Their sex life, I'm sure, is definitely damn good. Congrats, kids. And of course, Adam Sandler and Bert crashed it, and that you got to go watch it. There's only one way to understand this, and that highlight. Watch it. Hour 4, we had the other. This is America's suburban dad. I like to call him. Not America's dad that lives in SF, but America's suburban dad. The zen-like, most calm person I've ever met in my life, Tom Papa.
Well, he was very calm because he was making 13 loaves of sourdough a day.
13. It's fine. It's fine. Don't worry.
We just need to wait for it to proof and it'll be fine. It's fine.
It'll rise. It'll rise. It will. It will. I love Tom Papa. His impressions, it's hard to figure him out, but once you do, it's a good impression.
He was a great host.
Yeah, what was really cool is he got to have Dane Cook and Seth Green. Mm-hmm. What did they do?
They showed the trailer for their new short film.
It looks so goddamn good.
So good.
Oh my god, that shit looks fascinating. And they had a bit of a conversation, and it was same as a lot of other people donate, contribute. Mm-hmm. And we also, Ginny Gashare stopped in. Jim Gaffigan stopped in. And
Jim Gaffigan and Tom Papa talking together about how it is like to parent in the age of Corona.
The age of Corona?
Jim bringing all 5 of his kids one by one, saying, if you donate, I will give you one of my 5 children. Here, look, don't you want to buy them?
My 5 terrible children. So thanks for stopping in, Jim. That was great. Bill Burr and Bert Kreischer, they did a pre-recorded, but 10-minute mini
Bill
episode
Burt.
of the Bill Burt podcast, and so thanks boys. Jim Norton, that was awesome. Because it was Jim being confused, and he's always vulnerable, and he's always telling the truth, so he's always funny. Because much like what Tony Hinchcliffe has taught us via Kill Tony,
the truth is funny.
The truth is in the funny.
Mm-hmm.
Right, rather
the funny is in the truth.
Right. Hey, I know words. Hey.
Marijuana, kids.
Weed, kids. The funny's in the truth, and more importantly, that maybe there's not just a message, but communicating is rooted in the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And what Jim Norton, just the way he talks, he's just so unapologetically himself. You know, and that I can't help but love the guy because he's just so. I mean, he backs up his friends, which is good, but so he's loyal, but he's also loyal to comedy and stand up, and then not I don't want to say next generation, but the next classes coming along of all these new comics. You know, he's really supportive because all of his podcast
he's
platforms.
Also been
it's
there.
only good for him.
Like all of these comedians, they came to do this charity event because they've all been there. They've all been the ones that are wondering, okay, so I need to do this many sets tonight so I can buy groceries this week, and can I take a cab between my sets? Is it worth it?
I think I can.
Yeah.
I think I should just walk.
But then I might not be able to make it.
I worked out really hard, and I'm starting to get.
It's only a 10-minute cab ride, but it's a 30-minute walk.
20 if I run.
Yeah.
And that's what it's like to be an up and coming not just comic but musician as well, in between spots or whatever you're doing. You got to jam real hard and hopefully you can make your spot. So thanks to Jim for always being yourself. And next we had it says here Michelle Bateau and Jordan Carlos. Yes, we got to check them out, and they were a funny duo. Mm-hmm. They were like playing a game.
Yeah.
And that seems kind of a little alternative. A little bit.
It was like 20 questions.
Yeah, and I think they're a comedy duo type. I think, or improv or something like that. Frankly, I don't know. I wish I did, but it was funny and interesting, so thank you. And then, of course, Ray Romano. Oh, no, Deborah. No.
And just literally reading out of his comedy notebook.
Yeah, which was kind of cool.
In his walk-in closet.
Did you see how his notes were designed?
Yeah.
That was masterful.
I just like before any of them, he'd look at it and he'd go, well, I don't know if this is funny.
Well, I don't know if this is funny, but I'm gonna do it anyway. But
I'm sorry to my daughter who's filming this.
But what's interesting with not podcasting comics is that they're not really prepared for things like this. They don't have mics, they don't have mic arms, they don't have lapel mics and a camera that they can attach it to, so it's professional. If
they don't do improv or work a lot, then they're not super quick on their feet anymore.
Well, I don't want to say that. Maybe Ray Ramones, he's a working comic. He's a busy guy.
Yeah. I'm not talking about him.
Well, then you're not a comic if you're not really working that much in stand-up. Then it's a hobby. Then you might as well be an open micer.
With a lot of money.
Yeah, right? An open micer with a lot of jokes and a lot of money, but you're not hitting it very much anymore because, frankly, you don't have to.
Yeah. You just pop in anywhere and be like, I'm going to do a pop-in.
Damn. I should take I take it back.
Anyways.
I take that back. I apologize because there's plenty of famous people that can't pop in anymore due to whatever circumstance. Not just COVID-19, but circumstances. And anyway, thank you to Ray Romano. Your special was fun, and you make him want to live in New York. So, hour 4, Tom Papa did a great job covering it. Hour 5, we already talked about the amazing Roy Wood Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, we fucked.
The Anti-Slut Shaming Podcast, brought to you exclusively by Luminary.
He had Adam Conover from Adam.
Ruins everything.
Shits on things, hates on things.
Oh my God.
Whatever.
It's his brand, and he's very successful and funny.
That's true. I suppose.
Way to shit on him.
I guess. Timmy Denbo stopped in. I enjoyed her. She was a lot of fun. Hannibal.
Oh yeah, she did her like old Long Island lady.
Yes.
bit.
Oh my God, that was
Beverly.
That
something.
was so good, man. Because
We had to look up to see if that was an actual person.
this is
we
an
went,
act, right?
Oh,
This is
wait,
a
what?
joke, right?
What?
This is a joke. Haha, you got me. You win.
Yelling.
Thanks, Jamie Dembo, for your commitment to the craft. That was interesting work. Hannibal Buress. Love that guy. Chicago's own Hannibal Buress. I really appreciated what he had to say because, you know, so many people love him, but there are fans that unfortunately may not live close because the market, the people that are fans of him usually tend to be really fucking busy and hustle and don't have time to see his shows. So unfortunately, he gets seats filled, but I feel like his audience would be more broad if you know, just played to more unique markets. But I love Hannibal. Hannibal Buress is definitely one of the you know, he's in the Marvel Cinematic Universe for a reason, right? He's funny, he's accessible, he's smart as fuck, dude. Check out his podcast. Then we had Daniel Sloss reading from his new book. Congrats, Daniel. I really liked what you had to write as well. You're quite the writer. Shout out to Ireland. And Guys Who Fucked, of course. Roz Dresfelez was funny. Roz Dresfelez is a queen, right?
Drag queen.
Yeah, it's a drag queen.
Yeah.
Funny as fuck, bold, and more importantly,
Gorgeous.
more queens and more LGBTQ plus and stand up like in your face in front of you. I think is super important in 2020 because then it's going to be unique perspective, unique jokes, and maybe a more fresh take.
I did have to explain the pun behind her name, though. I said, you know, her name is Ross Dress for Less, right? Because every drag queen, not every, but tons of drag queens, if you're not familiar, use puns as their name.
Right. So thank you, Roz. And then we had Amanda Seals hanging out for a moment. Remind me what she did.
Her and Roy just chatted because they're good friends. So they did like a little mini podcast.
She was really funny. I remember now.
She had just gotten back from Belize, like a week ago.
Right.
When the lockdown shutdown.
Yeah, she missed.
Started
She got
happening.
the last flight out, right?
Yep. Because she was gonna stay.
We both stopped and were like, whoa.
She was going to stay in Belize.
Man, I'll just stay
and
here.
ride it out. But decided to come home at last minute.
I mean, you got to be home. You know, it's important. Then we had Tom and Christina.
Tom and Christina.
Love your mom's house. The new studio's going great, and they know better than anyone from when they first started, and you know, being good pals with Bert and Leanne. You know that they know.
We actually didn't get Christina. We got Tom at the beginning of Roy's Hour.
Oh right.
Yeah.
They went out of order. Well, probably had to because schedule.
Mm-hmm. Well, Tom's got kids.
Right. And then Roy had to go because it was late.
Because he's got a kid.
And then Bonfire took over. You were tired at this point.
I was tired.
It was
late
a
here.
long event. It was 7.5 hours.
Yeah.
Total.
Something like that.
And Bonfire, they ended up, which if you don't know, is Dan Soder. You might know him from Billions and from all podcasts. Big Jay Okerson. Love that guy, man. He's so just like we said before. The truth is the funny's in the truth.
Mm-hmm.
He really knows how to be honest about it himself without being the self-deprecating guy.
I love that people always roast him for dressing like an emo 15-year-old, and he's like, I do.
Yeah.
And I love it.
I love it. It's great.
It's what he's comfortable in.
And he explains it really, really eloquently. the way he puts it, and it's simple and clear, which is, I think, what's so great about some of these comics that we're starting to see come out of I don't want to say the Netflix generation, because all these Netflix specials, right?
Yeah.
But
Kind of.
they're part of it. But this the new age of podcasting and information generation, where we're all getting information that is founded, proven, and peer reviewed from a lot of founded, proven, and peer reviewed places. That information is now king, and how you're writing is, it's not just your truth, but it's literally scientifically proven truth. So what's interesting with that is that Big J kind of he implements it into his act, and more importantly into his who he is, because how he communicates is just so simply. I don't want to put this.
Yeah, how do you want to put this? Because
I
don't know where you're going.
It's so simply just him being himself, I guess, at the end of the day, and
yes,
he can go on. No, wrong, I can go on, but he can go on when he wants to, but he's just a supportive comic who's also a dad. So I'm pretty sure it was him being a father that probably had a lot to do with it, because being so you're a child care professional. You learn to literally cut the fat from anything, so you can have the best version of something.
Sure.
Fat from words, fat from life.
Yeah.
Like unnecessary spending, and unnecessary explanation, or just if you're not being clear, then what's the path to victory for clarity, right?
Okay. Next.
Bonfire got to take over, but they all four of them, Dan Soder, Big J Okerson, Joe DeRosa, and not Luis J. Gomez. Someone else. Sorry about that. I have a computer in front of me. I'll do that. They did a great 20 minutes, and it was so fun. Because
they were just roasting each other. They were doing like a round, a bonfire roast, a weenie roast.
Well, and you know who I'm sure you've seen. They roasted Bert.
Yes, they did.
Oh my God!
They did.
They lit Bert up,
yes,
dude.
They did. They called him out.
It was and so Bonfire is Dan Soder and Big J, but they had Joe DeRosa on as a guest, and the other gentleman, and they got to go ahead and just let Bert have it, and it was fantastic. And then we had to close the show, one of the biggest names of stand-up in the world. I say the world specifically, not necessarily America, which is unfortunate, because he's an amazing individual that has really, kind of brought stand-up to every culture and every country. The man, the myth, the legend, Russell Peters.
I was asleep.
You went to bed.
I was tired.
You went to bed. You were done. But he only did 5 minutes because, again, like every other comic with that laugh aid, that's a professional. I don't know what to do. I feel like walking around my house is a bad thing to do. I'm going to do it anyway. He took a lot of steps in that house. It's a big place. But he was so honest how he communicated with, why donating is important, and why providing aid to feature acts and other kinds of acts, and it was interesting to see him kind of recall memories of when a very, very fucking long time ago, when he was just coming up with Bert and Tom, and it was such a fun 5 minutes for. In hindsight, it was fun, but now looking then it was like, oh my god, this not going well at all. But he closed it out, and Laugh Aid overall, I took it as quite the learning experience, because it was a great way to learn to host, and more importantly, it's I didn't understand how vast the comedy world was till Laugh Aid.
Really?
I didn't realize it was that big.
I think
It's a universe. It's not a planet. It's a universe.
I think I figured that it was that big and bigger because of listening to Guys We Fucked, because a lot of times if they aren't interviewing some sort of sex expert or doctor or activist, they are interviewing New York comics. And they've been doing this for 7 years.
So long.
So the amount of comics that I've heard of, I think far exceeds yours, just because I've listened to their podcast and I hear interviews from people who are pounding the streets every day in New York.
Jeez. Yeah, I suppose the podcast I listen to are, A, B, A and B and C listers, as opposed to, your up and comers.
Yeah.
Your D&E. And that's some of these people that aren't near as famous, that aren't doing shows like Big Mouth as small spots. That's a C-lister. If people aren't doing that, you'll have your time, but unfortunately it's really tough. It's really tough. It's such a grind.
I was lucky enough to introduce you to Rosebud Baker.
Right.
Even before she...
Shout out to Rosebud Baker.
Hey, Rosebud.
Before she moved to Los Angeles, man.
Even before she was in the JFL Amazon Prime property.
What was that?
I cannot remember.
Google it. Let's see. Amazon. Not Julie for less.
Inside jokes.
Inside jokes. Yep. I just saw it. That was actually quite the way to
Seeing the road to Just for Laughs.
That's fucking cool, man.
It was really, really cool.
And
you wouldn't have heard about it except for me,
Nope.
because
this is true.
I was listening to Two Less Lonely Girls from Corinne Fisher and Rosebud Baker, which is sadly on hiatus because they live a country away from each other now.
Really?
Yeah. Corinne is in New York and Rosebud is in LA. They have 3,000 miles in between each other.
Okay, right.
Yeah, they don't do video podcasts.
Why?
I don't know. I think they just took a break. Rosebud started her own podcast,
Sure.
Devil's Advocate, recently with the All Things Comedy podcast network.
Hey.
Because she's now under Bill Burr's wing.
Yes, she is. Yes, she is.
Yes, she
That's right. If you're a Comedy Central fan, Bill Burr has his, I guess you can call it chat show, interview show. I call it one of Comedy Central's podcasts.
It showcases up and coming comics.
He gets to chat with them.
Mm-hmm.
For some reason at a bar. That must have been what Comedy Central wanted. But it's fascinating and interesting. And
yeah, you get to see them do their set.
It's micro content.
Yeah, they do a small set and they have a short interview with Bill Burr, which, I mean, being in a room with Bill Burr, you're like, I've made it.
Right, even just like to see his act, like, oh my god, like that's
Yeah.
it's just right there.
Yeah.
One of the greatest minds alive today. Just right there. That'd be, man, regularly. That's Bert. I love Bert Kreischer because he's a great example of. I kind of identify with him a little bit because the redemption arc and overcoming your demons type thing and managing your anxiety, getting better mental health, getting away from your problems, exercising, fitness, information, just developing. He's so vulnerable and honest on everything he does. A person that has anxiety problems and mental health problems can really identify with that guy and be inspired. And I really appreciate what he's done for cats like myself. That anybody can do this. You know who else said that? Bill Burr. and they're both that kind of they're such polarizing figures in stand up and more importantly in production, because how many people can develop a podcast network? With one of the other.
There's a handful.
There's a handful, exactly, and
There aren't two handfuls.
the people that can do it well, have been on the road during the holidays, and trying to find a way to stay busy. And next thing you know, you develop incredible ideas, and because of your idea, it becomes an LLC or an incorporated or a corporation or whatever your business. It can contribute to charity funds like Comedy Gives Back, and things like Laugh Aid can happen. So thank you for Laugh Aid. It was so goddamn fun. I had a great time.
It was a good time.
We didn't, and what, because we had to pay attention. It wasn't really about drinking. It was. That was a lesson, man, and funny, and interesting. And how can you be funny and interesting for that long to keep attention? And they raised $375,000. So
all
thank
that
you.
is going to struggling up and coming comics, which is great.
And if you are one, you can apply bit.ly/CGB apply, I believe. Or just Google it.
It's probably bit.ly.
Bit.ly, I think that's it.
Yeah. but
But
anyway.
Thank you. Right. We have some media to talk about. We're 90 minutes in. What do you want to do?
What do you want to do?
It's 6:20, 25, 6:23. We can keep going, but that means we're going to go for another hour.
That means we'd probably have to order dinner.
No. Let's take a break. Let's pause right here.
Okay.
And pause. And we're back.
Hello.
It was
About 15 minutes.
About 15 minutes for us, but for you, no time at all.
No time at all.
We have clearly switched it up, and the key to... You need to get your drink off the table, please. The key to having a podcast where there's drinks involved, you must keep your open containers away from any electronics.
You didn't seem to have any problem with me having my wine glass right here.
It was far less full.
Far less full.
Than that beer over there.
A 16-ounce Hefeweizen.
From Vidmere.
With a lemon. Because that's how they drink it in Germany. And that's how I like it.
That's right. And I have a fine whiskey. Unfortunately, they have since closed their doors. Bear Moon Whiskey. Bear Moon Spirits. It's their whiskey and
American whiskey.
American. Indeed. And a Guinness, because why not? I did want to bring up a culturally, well, not just culturally, but internationally relevant event that's going to be occurring on not Passover, because we'll be talking about that for the next 8 days. Well, technically starting tonight, because all Jewish holidays do. Final Fantasy VII, the remake.
You're very excited about this, and I know nothing except for the trailers I've seen. Oh, that was a delightful sip I just heard.
Do you want to try it?
Sure. Would you like to try mine?
I know Vidmere. I'll happily take some. Did you have to add the fruit?
Yeah, it's really yummy. Some coffee tunes. See, I told you it's yummy with the fruit. Did you have to add the fruit?
Did you have to have the fruit?
Yeah.
Well, actually, yeah.
Like I said, that's how they drink it in Germany. Actually, in the summer in Germany, they take their lemon lime soda, which is less sweet than we have here. It's a Sprite type, but less sweet. And they do 50-50 with Hefeweizen and that. And it's like a shandy.
I love a shandy.
It's like a shandy.
I at a restaurant I worked at, Umami Burger in Oakland. Much love. Shout out to Eric Longroth. Cool dude. People would ask for shandies all the time.
Well, in the summer, that's like the drink to have. If you
Yep.
want something alcoholic, but you don't want to get tipsy because it's fucking hot and you're sweating. And it's just refreshing and delicious.
So the Final Fantasy VII Remake is a multi-part project. The installments will be released separately. So episodic release of
That's smart.
Of gaming. And it's originally was released in, I want to say 97.
Well, I mean, think about how Telltale released the Walking Dead games. It was episodic, and it left you wanting more. It's a great way to sell more.
Well, but that was also then Telltale games. Now Skybound games.
Yes, now it's Skybound.
You know, man, what episodic release? It's wise, especially for the vast landscape of Final Fantasy VII franchise, because there's also IP that follows this game, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's iconic. What I'm really excited about, because the original was released in original release date.
Wow, you had 15 minutes to prepare.
I know, right?
God.
September 7th, 1997. I was absolutely right. It was in 97, and I'm 32 now, so that's 15 years ago. I was about to say 16, not quite yet. Oh, fuck, I'll be 33 soon.
97, it's 2020.
Sorry.
Do you know how to do math?
This is a 23-year-old.
Mm-hmm. Oh, she can drink, and she been drinking.
Oh, she been drinking. She's Japanese, of course. Released by Squaresoft, now Square Enix. What I'm really excited about this, I guess, re-release, remake, tomato, potato. What?
So basically, from what my understanding is, they finally have the technology,
The technical achievements.
to show the story that they already told. And so it's a retelling of the story.
But not beat for beat.
Gotcha.
So much like what the MCU is doing with adapting the comics.
Okay.
So what I'm really excited about is not just how, because you've seen the trailers, beautiful.
Mm-hmm. Oh, it's stunning.
But like, who is this Sephiroth guy, and
Why
why is his sword so big?
So the trailers are clearly made for fans.
Yeah, not for new
Because
fans.
I'm sitting there and I go, it's pretty, it's nice. I don't know why I should care about any of these people. I don't know why I want to play this, because I didn't grow up with games like this.
No, man, and it's unfortunately it feels marketed, and we can
100.
we can talk pretty well about marketing, especially considering all the fights that we've seen marketed. You know, there's one way to market something as a fighter. There's another way that the UFC will market something. There's another way ESPN will market something.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of different conversations being had at once, right?
Yeah.
So, I already know, I'm aware of that. Oh, this? Yeah, done, sold. why?
And for me, you keep going, oh, we're gonna watch this as soon as it comes out. We're gonna watch this, and I go, why do I want to watch this? Other than it's pretty. I don't.
The narrative is super compelling.
story that you've told me a little bit of, yeah, it sounds interesting, but you're so wrapped up in the nostalgia
Oh,
that
fuck the shit out of you.
No.
Watch your
I'm
goddamn
saying
mouth.
I didn't even get to finish my sentence. You're so wrapped up in the nostalgia. I don't know if you can actually tell me the story without you going off into a tangent.
Yeah, right. I mean, this evil dude, his problem is, the pitch is, oh, what's Sephiroth's problem? Oh, he's evil. Well, how'd he get there? Well, he didn't start evil, and it's pretty convoluted, and it's actually pretty genius. But the soundtrack, I tend to get lost in you've listened to the soundtrack and have been impressed by the soundtrack.
Yeah.
Nobu Uematsu, Ematsu. I'm not really sure how you pronounce it. I apologize.
I mean, I'm probably going to like it because I'm a big fan of the teen sci-fi. I like a good rom-com, and I like a good action adventure, and it's pretty. So I'm probably going to like it because it sounds like it hits all those beats.
And more importantly, it's very pro, because the Mako is like the life force of the planet, right? And everything's connected to the live stream. The live stream is these weird wavy green lines.
Well, that's what they used to be.
And,
we don't know what they look like now.
And it's essentially, you make summons from this material. Material was designed by the live stream, so the live stream kind of, uses developed orbs as like a conduit for powers that were developed by the live stream, so you can fight in battles.
Okay.
So
that doesn't make any sense to me right now.
It doesn't help with the plot, but that's really important to the narrative because people, one of the characters, an NPC, non-playable character, says
I know what that means.
how important it is to not use materia because you're essentially using the life force of the planet. But the planet auto-generates this shit anyway, so fuck that guy. He's a hippie. However,
okay.
there's what happens is that the Sephiroth dude finds out a way to like summon a meteor, and you have to use a certain material to do
I think the more you're talking, the more I'm getting confused.
But it's all connected. I may not be explaining it well. Weed, kids. Weed.
And you've had half a bottle of sparkling wine.
Hey! But again, it's so convoluted that that just like the pitch meeting, like right away, like shit, where do I start? Because there's so many plot points.
Okay.
And that's when it was originally released in '97. It was 3 discs. That's I don't know how much bitage that is, but that's a massive file, right?
Mm-hmm.
So in order to actually have something that sustainable and that good to keep, nerds going for 23 years, that's a lot of content.
In 1997, they did have to put Titanic on 2 different VHSs.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
I understand that that's a lot of data.
Yeah, right? So for a non-Final Fantasy VII fan at all, you kind of grasp, oh, wow. How long did this take? Oh, about 5 years.
I mean, thinking about what they did with the Diablo series.
Fuck, yeah, that's a great example.
Because I remember playing the very first one, and it was a very straightforward, you go into dungeons and you kill shit.
So what's Diablo? Oh, he's the devil. What's his problem? He's evil.
And then you go into Diablo 3, which I haven't played that much of it. I've played like the first level, but even in the first level, there's a ton of story. And they went, just running around and killing demons is not going to work for our people. Because our people can just go and play Doom.
Right.
If they want to kill demons.
Yeah, right. Especially with this new Doom Eternal.
Yes.
How fun does that look?
Oh, so much fun if you just want to kill demons. Diablo decided to evolve and go, hey, we need a story. Let's add story to everyone you meet, which means the game takes forever if you
Right.
go into every little side
Fetch
quest.
quests.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean, your favorite RPGs, Final Fantasy 7 is a great example because same fetch quests everywhere you go. But that's just a role playing game. Each and I never really thought about what role playing actually means till now. Really, each NPC, every PC, and everything, every component that's companion to micro plot beats, macro plot beats, or even just trying to collect some coins for whatever. Each character introduced to has program designed program dialogue, right? And if you interact in certain whatever capacities, depending upon the engine you're using and the software that was used to develop the IP in the first place, you can have quite the lengthy conversation.
Yeah. Well, growing up, I strictly played RPGs because that's what my family purchased. But I also grew up in a family of storytellers. Didn't matter if they wrote them down or not. House of reading, house of learning, and so if we were going to play video games, they were going to be RPGs.
Well, that's true. You know what? Your mom definitely she instilled that there should be something being informed
Yes.
in the things you're doing.
And my stepdad as well.
Not a big fan of mouth breathing.
No. That's why, as much as I begged, I never got an N64, and so I only got to play at my little cousin's house, who is 5 years younger than me, and had all the games that I wanted, and I would kick his ass at Mario Kart.
What is with women in Mario Kart?
We're-
I don't get it.
It's so much fun.
Well, why? You're just holding a button and you're moving.
Yeah.
What
And
is
you're fucking up everyone else.
what's engaging about that?
You're fucking up everyone else.
There's not really a ton of mechanics, The
Mm-hmm.
the problem is it.
Also, you just said a heavily misogynist thing. What is it with women and Mario Kart?
Why? Why? But really, what is a Mario Kart? Every woman I've ever dated or
I know
banged.
plenty of dudes that like Mario Kart too.
I'm not a big.
I think that women that you've met that play Mario Kart, they realize that you don't like it, so they know they can beat you at it, and you're so good at so many things that they go, yeah, I love Mario Kart. I'm gonna fuck this bitch up.
It's true. I am so good at so many things, huh?
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Not modesty or humility.
Oh no, terrible at those. But I kind of just had a realization that I love skate games, like skateboarding games, because there's a ton of mechanics and a lot of ranges of motion. I half wonder if that's due to playing music,
Probably.
because it's just rudiments, right? It's beats. You have to
think we just
really pay
figured
attention
out
to timing.
Why you get so frustrated that I can't figure out a simple controller to you, because you do so many things with your hands when you're playing guitar, and me, I'm like, I don't know how to do all the buttons all at once, and you're like, it's easy, you just do 10 things at the same time.
That probably has a lot to do with it, because muscle memory is not only crude matter.
Yeah.
And the luminous springs are we, not this crude matter. I should isolate that. But there's also muscle memory in the brain.
Yeah.
Neuroscience. I love neuroscientists because they can explain so many things about not just how you are and why you are, but literally being able to dissect what got you there.
Well,
That neuroscientists can really do a bang up job in psychology, and they do, but it's merely just science. It's not It's not psychological science.
So I'm also wondering if that's why we're seeing such a surge of female gamers now because of the accessibility to more computer games and also the Nintendo Switch, which has a much less complicated controller.
Have you heard of Animal Crossing?
Duh.
That game is, man, so many ladies are.
And a ton of dudes.
I see more what's trending. It seems to be the individuals that enjoy it more seems to be people that identify as women, and it's so interesting. But it's also at the same time it's nurturing.
Mm-hmm.
Nature. You
also gotta pay back loans.
Much
from
like
what I've heard.
What's girlfriend reviews? You go fishing. You see beautiful landscapes.
You build a house. You build a garden.
Right, and you're literally having to purchase each piece to do that. So it's kind of a version of home and garden television that you're playing. And I don't know a single woman that doesn't like that shit.
Accurate.
Let me put this down gently real
Actually,
quick.
no, I can name a few women.
Oh, shut up. Let me have it.
No. You gotta
Nope.
pick that mic back up.
Sir, need you to pick that up.
Pick it up.
Fuck.
You made a mess. Pick up your messes.
That's too bad they're out of business, though. That's a fine whiskey. It's not a shooter, man. It's a sipper. You take your time. You grab yourself a cube of the ice cube. No, that's fine. No rush.
No rush.
But the Final Fantasy VII Remake,
Right.
the engine that was used, why it looks so beautiful. Because you saw the trailers from E3, this last E3.
Yes.
The 2020 version of Unreal Engine is better. I don't know how it's better. I don't know, because you've seen some games now. I showed you a little bit of Horizon Zero Dawn. We'll have to watch that the story because you'll really like it. There are quite a few spots that I could not tell if that was real or not.
Oh, that reminds me, when I was downloading the Untitled Goose Game, I had to download the Epic Games engine.
Huh?
Right?
Should we make
Engine?
should we make a goose glove?
Yes, 100%.
Two? Should we have two of those?
Let me look on Amazon real quick.
Continue.
Anyways,
Let me look on Amazon. Oh my god, honey. Let me look at Amazon.
I did see that they had a game that was using Unreal Engine 4.
What?
And I knew that your computer couldn't handle it, but maybe my new computer will be able to handle it.
Yeah. We had a stroke of luck, and well, it's nice to get lucky once in a while.
Yeah.
Tell you what.
You're soon going to see us as a 2-computer family. My God.
And a multi-cam podcast. We won't just have the one on anymore. Don't get me wrong. One on now and again is nice. If you don't have to do a ton of work.
If it's just the two of us.
It's still nice to have 3. Let's be honest.
Wow, look at that little snotty face.
Well, when you're talking, how cool would it be to camera on you?
Well, because I look at you so much when we're talking. I don't look to camera.
Right, but neither does Joe, and he has 3.
That's...
He has 5 cam.
Well, he also has an engineer.
Yeah, a real professional. Shout out to Jamie Vernon, right? That guy inspired a generation. That, hey, you can do this too.
Hey guys, this can be your job.
You can work for your
friends. Do you love podcasts and comedy? Apply down below.
So, 7's using Unreal Engine 4, which is fantastic because it's only getting better. And you know what else? Your favorite franchise of gaming.
RPGs?
No. I mean, well, it is an RPG from Naughty Dog, I suppose.
Oh. Last of Us Deuce.
Well, we'll get to that in a moment. It is delayed, but we'll get
I know,
to
I'm
it.
so sad.
So the reviews are in for the remake of Final Fantasy VII. GameSpot, 10 out of 10. Games Radar, 4.5 out of 5. Kotaku released an article. So did The Verge, and so did GameSpot. And you know me, reviews with content that if I know it and I've already loved it already, you know, like a new album comes up from the White Buffalo.
Oh, you know you're gonna love it. Yeah.
But I don't take what reviews have to say lightly. Leaks, another story. Leaks.
You mean you do take reviews lightly?
Oh right, I take them lightly, but leaks I don't take lightly at all.
I avoid leaks
and luckily,
at all costs.
Luckily, the leaks were avoided with this. I looked on Reddit, everything, and I found nothing. So that was refreshing to see, and based upon the Kotaku review, Kotaku, Kotaku, I'm sure you already know it if you're watching this. This article is in favor, and if I don't want to go too into it, but in 2015 we were promised a few months after Square Enix first announced that Final Fantasy VII Remake was in production, they gave us all the catch it'd be episodic. In the coming years, Square revealed that the first episode will only take place in Midgar, a circular dystopian city run by an authoritarian energy company called Shinra.
Okay.
Midgar served as the introduction to the original Final Fantasy VII, letting you get to know the characters such as Cloud, Tifa, Aerith, and Barret before they headed out into the open world to start the real game. And that was 2015. The Midgar portion apparently takes 4, maybe 5 hours. News that the Final Fantasy VII Remake won't leave the city was disconcerting, raising all sorts of questions. What were they doing? How this could feel like a complete game? The answer is simple. Everything's new. It will surely be an unwelcome news to Final Fantasy VII purists. I try not to be. I can be, but I try not to be. This remake extends many old scenes, so we're seeing like a much extended version of some of the plot beats, which is, I think, in the day and age of representation, you know, because at a point early on we see like Teen Cloud before he goes off to serve the army.
Teen Cloud.
And Teen Tifa, you know, like, I'm gonna be the best, blah, 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 you know, overzealous about everything because you're a fucking kid. We get to see versions of scenes that are now going to represent, because gaming is on par with television and movies, right?
You have no idea how hard it was for me not to just go represent.
No, you can, please interrupt with the jokes. This is a comedy oriented podcast. It's comedy adjacent.
It's the Sacramento coming out.
Oh,
Represent.
Sacktown. Ghetto. What?
Hey.
No, Sac's not ghetto. Midtown's not ghetto anyway.
There are plenty of parts of Sacramento that are ghetto. Arden.
I'm not trying to make enemies here, Jordan.
I grew up there, so I can say it.
Oh, Jesus. Wow. You know who says that? White people.
White people. White people. Oh, hi, Francis.
So the plot beats are apparently looking like they'll kind of like the macro beats anyway, the most important ones. They look that they'll be similar.
You can go into more detail with it with Nerdin.
I will. Developer Square Enix, platform PlayStation 4, release date April 10th, 2020. 37 hours.
Yeah, we just have a couple more days.
37 hours completing the game and all side quests.
Okay.
So I'm very excited because there's also apparently going to be quite a bit of LGBTQ plus representation and ethnic representation, and the people that are those things playing those roles, because Square Enix realized that if this is a knockout of the park, a remake like this that is on par with Game of Thrones level good, what's next after a game? An amazing series that is Game of Thrones level or cinematic universe?
Well, I mean, we're seeing so many video games turned into shows and movies now.
Much like
The Witcher and Last of Us.
there you go.
And
Jesus, you do not know what I'm thinking. I don't think it's gonna work out.
Rude. Oh my
The
God.
Last of Us is getting the treatment.
So excited.
Not just Netflix. No. Not Amazon. They're doing some incredible fucking things. But what we talking the Big Daddy? We talking millions of dollars per episode. We're talking billions of dollars spent at the end of a season. Maybe it was $1 billion spent probably. Naughty Dog did such a goddamn good job with The Last of Us.
I mean, the fact that it has such a hearty fan base that you can go back and play the game and you go, yeah, this fucking holds up and the graphics are still amazing and the story is incredible. The acting and the mocap is amazing. It fucking stands the test of time. I would expect a game like that caliber to come out 2 years ago.
And it came out far beyond that.
Yep.
I believe 2013 action adventure game developed by
7
Naughty
years
Dog,
ago.
published by Sony Computer Entertainment. Of course, our main character in the game is Joel.
Mm-hmm.
But second half of the game, we get to play as Ellie. Thank goodness.
But
And-
he's still relevant as a character. So there's a Twitch streamer that I follow, Deligracy. She does a lot of Sims content. And she recently made a new Sims family and modeled the dad after Joel.
I mean, that... I just realized... all these American dads that we've mentioned. So we mentioned American Dad number 1,
Uh-huh.
the one that didn't go to jail, Bob Saget.
Yes.
American Dad number 2, the party dad, Bert Kreischer.
Bert Kreischer.
American Dad number 3,
Tom Papa.
Tom Papa, America's suburban dad,
Mhm.
the Zen father, if you will.
Sourdough dad.
American Dad number 4,
It's Joel.
yeah,
He's level-headed Rick Grimes. I'm saying it.
no, his daughter died in his arms.
Yeah.
That is not level-headed.
He is level-headed, though, until the end.
Right when they're about, spoiler alert, if you should know this already. Fuck you.
It's a 7-year-old property.
Yeah, you could. Yeah, I'm sure you heard about it. What happens?
Joel decides to save his surrogate daughter, Ellie,
Instead of
saving the entire world.
yeah,
Yeah.
and thus killing all the infected as well. Literally solving the problem.
I don't think that what's in her brain could kill the infected, but it's only a matter of time until they wait it out.
Here's a better story.
Here's a better story.
Uh,
Listen to me now, kids.
it will stop all the infected. It'll end them, but you don't need to kill her for it.
Well, the thing is,
You get the antibodies in her blood.
yeah. Or there's this
Oxygenized.
thing that you might have heard of, cerebral spinal fluid. If you need what's in her brain, you can literally just take some of the cerebral spinal fluid.
For all the science in that and The Last of Us, like, hey, like, here's a dramatic fix, but here's an actual one.
I'm not a doctor, but
You're not a pathologist. However,
I have read a lot. I'm not learning this from TVs and movies.
Indeed. That's a damn good point. I didn't even think about that.
That's because you haven't
we
taken classes like I have.
No, because you're fucking weird. I want to creep. Can I have the whiskey, please?
Thanks. He's referring to the fact that when I was
pathology.
When I was like 18, I
That's a
took
weird thing to study.
forensic anthropology class. Most fascinating class I've ever taken, and one of the only reasons I would go back to college.
I don't know if I want you hanging around dead people all the time. Or tissue from things. 'Cause
Okay.
what if you cause the next pandemic?
Well, there's, ways to not do that. Like, you suit up and you glove up. What are you doing? That's really gross. ASMR. What noises? Also, please don't listen to that part and jack off, because that's real gross.
Whatever, dude. Pay us. I don't care. But The Last of Us is going to be probably... Oh, I don't know.
You keep doing that, smacking your lips.
If for my money,
I'm
first
so
of
excited.
all,
Wait, are you talking about Last of Us 2, or are we talking about the TV show right now?
the series for now?
The series, okay.
Chernobyl creator Craig Mazin and Neil Druckmann, creative director of Naughty Dog. They're the ones that are making all the choices. Now, there were a lot of rumors about firings at Naughty Dog. Now,
Ooh.
is it going to be the same if you get rid of those people? I say no.
I think
It's going to be better because you're going to have fresh eyes on it.
Yeah, I think it'll be fine.
And those people are already fans.
We already have the story locked in. And we have a basic script from cutscenes.
Yeah, man. If you do the movie version via YouTube,
Which we've done.
I mean, you can do the long one where you see the playthrough, which is cool because then you get to understand the universe and the mythos.
You find out that, she can't swim and...
Right, exactly. And,
Yeah.
and Joel has to learn how to craft, even though he's been doing it, he's getting better and better and better at it. And Ellie has to, you literally see, you play the character development, so maybe you kind of miss that when you're playing it because you're a little too focused on moving forward as opposed to thinking, oh wow, that character's moving forward and figuring this out.
So yeah, they basically already have the beginnings of a script, the skeleton of a script, if you will, from the cutscenes. Especially if you add on, what do you call it? The downloaded content. DLC. Downloaded content.
Downloadable content.
Yeah, I literally just said it. But if
you reached that conclusion on your own.
Yeah. If you add on the downloadable content to that, you get to see the beginning of it. I don't know if we're going to start with how the game starts.
I don't know if I want that.
Well, it's
what do you want
traumatic
from it is a better question.
Well, what I want is I want to start with Ellie. I want to start with her getting bit. Like her and her crush, her friend.
Have you watched the DLC?
Yeah, we watched it together.
The whole thing?
Yes.
But it doesn't start as a crush. It starts as survival and then it develops. How about this, per your point, getting bit, but then while she's fleeing, we can do flashbacks and then we can have the soundtrack.
Well, I think
bum ba-dum bum bum Joel.
I think what happened in the very beginning of the game to Joel and his daughter and to Tommy, I think that should be done in either dream sequences
or its own episode
and flashbacks.
I'd say give the fall of everything. Give us Joel. Give us Sarah's death.
You want to start with that?
I don't want to start with it, but when it comes up, just give it.
I have a better way to do it. So, yes, give it to us, but give it to us because Ellie confronts Joel about why he's being such a fucking dick. And he...
Well, I mean, you're right. Yes, but that's such a... Well, I'll tell you the story. That
Not
thing.
like that.
But you see what
I don't
see
want...
what I mean? How that could
No, I
easily...
don't want it as a hint. You didn't let me finish. You cut me off.
Hey.
So...
Interrupt her.
She confronts him, and he just says something just like, well, you remind me of someone who died. And then we see him do a flashback.
Yeah, literally relive it.
Yes, but not tell her, because he never really tells her.
He does.
It takes a while.
It's all off screen.
Yeah.
All of it. Because
I wanted
remember in the winter when Joel's injured because he gets impaled?
Impaled. Yes, I do remember.
Fuck, I can't believe Neil Druckmann wrote that shit in.
I'm so excited. HBO's gonna do a great job.
But without Craig Mazin being involved, those of you that don't know, Chernobyl, the hit. One more time.
Hit.
Thank you. The hit HBO series, Craig Mazin oversaw, showrunner, with him at the helm and how he and his team captured the terror.
Mm-hmm.
I have total confidence in not just Craig Mazin's team, not just Neil Druckmann's team, but not just
Nate.
not just HBO, but all of them working together because everybody is a fan of this IP.
Who's your dream Joel casting? Your dream.
Hugh. You?
Gerard Butler.
That's fucking good, actually. That dude, he can act. He, based upon what he did with Phantom, that alone is a great way to capture like the darkness and the evil someone will commit to do good.
Mm-hmm.
And Joel is if nothing.
And he looks like him.
2013, probably when they first started developing.
Gerard Butler was hot.
Yeah,
in 2013, he was huge.
He was very hot.
He was huge.
P.S. I Love You was 2008. I'm pretty sure. So the 5 years that it takes to develop such a vast.
And then
IP,
he went into like rom-coms, and he was very hot. He was very hot during that.
His career was catapulted.
Yes.
So, and even with...
Ooh, I got another.
Even with Troy Baker's vocal work. His voice...
is a little...
Gerard Butler,
Butler-ish.
You know what? That they practice probably similar things.
Mm-hmm.
So how their vocals are formed and developed as voice actors, because Gerard Butler is no stranger to voice acting. What's fascinating about that point is he would do it.
Yeah. Because he's
John Bernthal.
He's already the Punisher, though.
Joel's the Punisher. He's a version of the Punisher. Joel and Frank Castle have a lot in common. Sure, there's an apocalypse that causes
Zach
it.
McGowan.
Zach, I'm going to hit you up on Instagram, and I really hope you watch this, or at least catch this part. Huge fan of that guy.
Yes.
Massive fan.
Yes.
He's one of the few that could bring...
he's so good at being very hard and then very soft.
He can be what character is that in The Crow that we've
Oh,
Top Dog, Big Top,
yeah,
something. Yeah.
Top Dog, I think.
Ever since I saw him in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
To be
And
fair, he'd also be a very good Eric Draven.
I think I would let him choose. Like, which one do you want?
But we're not casting the Crow right now.
No, we're not. That's another episode. But Zach McGowan would make an amazing Joel or Tommy, if he doesn't want the commitment of Joel, because Joel's a commitment, and that's Troy Baker even said that it was really taxing emotionally. So if you're busy with other work and a family,
I mean, that
if you want to immerse yourself,
Zach
go ahead.
McGowan would be great at that because he's so good at character acting. Look
I
at
think so.
look at his character from Black Sails.
Dude, so hot.
Yeah. Yeah. He was Blackbeard, okay?
And I caught some of that. I didn't catch all of it. I probably should. I guess hopefully I'll interview him someday.
Well, now is the time to binge.
Indeed, right? If you're in media and you need to get caught up on things because it's your job,
Now is the time.
do it.
I need to take a pee break.
Oh, you gotta go pee.
Yeah.
Oh, it's pee break. She's back. The character you were thinking of is Top Dollar.
Ah, the character you were thinking.
Yes. But Zach McGowan would be in a small, but that's fine. We don't need a big guy.
Mm-hmm.
He's and that's the problem with all these castings lately that I seem to be drawn towards is that a lot of big dudes.
I just thought
jacked.
of someone who would be great for Marlene. And she's very hot right now.
That is Tess Thompson.
I was not going to say that, but also a great casting.
Who'd you think?
Zoe Kravitz.
Oh yeah, that's a commitment.
She's
though.
really little. No, it's not that much of a commitment. She would be in like
HBO has to tell the story of the Fireflies, and that
She'd
means
be-
Marlene, a lot of Marlene. And who was Marlene's best pal? Ellie's mom.
If we want to go older, who played Zoe in Firefly? What was her name? I should know this.
You should. It's Lawrence Fishburne's wife, or ex. I'm not sure. I don't want to. Oops. I'm googling it. I'm
Gina Torres.
Gina Torres. Very good. You looked it up.
I did. Gina Torres would be great as Marlene.
Yeah. You know what? I'm pulling up her IMDb right now.
We've already seen her in, post-apocalyptic gear because of Firefly. She can dress exactly the same.
A lot of people discount Firefly because they think it's a space western.
It is.
It's also a poke It's also post-apocalyptic because
the Earth was uninhabitable.
That's an apocalypse. Last I checked.
That is an apocalypse.
Hey, kids.
Hey.
If you don't know what apocalypse is, that's it. Who's your dream Ellie?
I mean, there's not. I don't know a lot of young actresses, but
Caitlin Deaver.
Yes, Caitlin Deaver is my dream Ellie right now. Currently,
Maybe
because she looks very young, but she's in her
chops,
20s,
dude.
and she
did that
she's
series.
Mature.
Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Yes.
We need to watch that.
We have a lot of things we need to watch.
It all actually happened.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But it due to that and how she can emote, at least give her a callback.
I mean, they would need to age up Ellie to 16, 17.
Maybe you have more than one Ellie.
Which is fine.
Have more than one Ellie. If you found the right Ellie for the age that you need her for the plot points going forward, because I'm sure we'll probably have The Last of Us 2.
Honestly, what I think they're going to do is they're going to cast an unknown, a younger actress, and she'll be great.
You mean the Amelia Clark treatment? She was unknown, but she was famous. And look what happened to her career since. She walked barefoot.
They're gonna give her,
after she led the last script.
They're gonna give her the Millie Bobby Brown treatment.
Oh.
Young, unknown,
right.
Extremely talented.
Definitely 18. And
maybe
IRL. Definitely
maybe.
18. But, I mean, sure. I mean, Mila Kunis, she was 14.
It really depends on how long they want the series to go, because the longer they want it to go, if they're going to stretch it out,
take all the time you need.
They need to cast someone younger who can grow with the audience.
I'd like to see the Fireflies, the rise and fall of. Maybe that be for season 1 and 2 and 3. The better plot beats.
I don't think that's going to happen. I think they're not going to do that, because what people are going to want to see
is Joel and Ellie.
Yeah.
Right, sure.
And so the Fireflies can get their own offshoot.
Right, what I'm thinking is Rise of Fireflies, but really you can backdoor Joel and Ellie's story. Because how does Joel survive for that long? We need to know. And what's occurring? The Fireflies are taking charge.
Apparently, he was doing some dirty deeds.
Done dirt cheap.
Apparently not.
No, he was doing pretty well for himself, actually. But we're currently rewatching The Last of Us. The playable, the playthrough from MKS on Fire.
You know us, we don't normally play games.
And there's so many things that I want to see and that I hope and this and that. And I'll stop whenever there's a plot beat and pause when I have a good idea. And I'll realize, you know what? I don't need this. Excuse me. But what I do need is maybe a callback to through one word. Or one range of motion like that Ashley Johnson and Troy Baker did. Just callbacks to things. I don't want a repeat. I know that. Much like with Final Fantasy VII Remake, I don't want a repeat. I don't need a repeat. If I want a repeat, I could just go back and play the fucking thing.
I mean, they can take a page from The Witcher's book and go,
toss a coin to your Witcher, O Valley of Plenty, O Valley of Plenty, oh.
We all know the song.
Now it's stuck in your head again. You're welcome.
Anyways, take a... Unfortunately, they don't have books to play off of like The Witcher did, but The Witcher Netflix series did take things from the games and be like, hey, all you gamers, this is for you.
Yeah, and which was great, but it,
And they should have done it episodically, because binging it made us love it for a weekend, and then it's, oh yeah, did you watch The Witcher? Yeah, me too.
no, I went out and lived. What's that?
And then 2
You
weeks
hear
later,
everything.
yeah.
Oh wow, sounds kind of like Xena. Yeah, I know.
But better.
Yeah, they had exponentially more money per episode, but not Lucy Lawless. I'll tell you what.
Yeah, we get Henry Cavill.
Now The Last of Us 2.
I'm excited. We don't have that much information on
And
it.
it's delayed.
I'm so sad.
Now we have plenty of information. You've seen the playthroughs of the content that was released so
A
far.
little bit.
Yeah, that's enough information for me to know that I don't need. I'm jonesing for it, but I don't need it in a hurry.
I'm excited they're bringing Joel back. That was a shock.
I was really surprised with how, because he's aged and he looks like he's slowed down a lot.
Well, yeah.
Because she's in her 20s and he looks presumably back end of his life, which can be 50s, 60s, considering that they don't really have medicine, or they do. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know.
We don't know. We don't know. In the first Last of Us, he's in his 40s. Did you forget about that?
Yeah, so he's in his 50s. Later 50s.
I think he's like 60-ish. Because
looks old.
He's not like a nice young 40 in Last of Us. He's like 45 to 48. He is not a young man because he already had a teenage daughter. He had like a 12-year-old daughter.
Yeah.
Before it all happened.
Sarah was 12.
And then years later, they tell you how many years. How many years? It's like 20 years.
Yeah, 20 years.
So, assume he was 18
it's either
when
20
he
or
had
30.
Sarah. Yeah, assume he was 18 when he had Sarah. So he's 30 when she dies. 20 more years, he's 50.
You're really invested in this.
Well, we've had this conversation before, and you're like, no, he was totally a young dad. No, he had gray in his hair. Like a lot of gray in his hair in the gameplay.
And a decent house.
He was not young.
That
he was definitely
scene,
in his late 40s, early 50s when he met Ellie. And so it's, 10 to 15 years later, in Last of Us 2, he's in his late 60s, early 70s. He's not a young man.
No.
You keep forgetting this. Because you're like,
that's true.
I relate to him. He's my age. No.
No. He's not 32, buddy.
No. Maybe when his daughter died.
Last of Us 2, I think, I'll put up on IMDb right now. I think I need to fix this mic arm. It's squeaky.
You just need some WD-40.
It dehydrates. Little known fact.
It's okay. I can order it off of Amazon because we're not leaving our house for the next week.
See?
Yeah, you just need some WD-40.
Squeaky. Last of Us 2, what I do know...
Stuff.
lot of stuff.
Wow.
What I do know, what I want to see is Ellie is clearly, and
thriving.
But how did she learn to fight? More importantly, her
what
crafting,
is this community?
Right? Like what? I mean,
like last we saw, they were running away from the Fireflies, and suddenly she's happy, healthy, thriving, living in a community. She's got a girlfriend.
Is she an officer in the community, if you will? Like,
probably.
Does she have ranking?
She's definitely not a bystander by nature.
No, and I'm looking at this So Sony just pulled Last of Us 2 PlayStation Store completely.
No.
The factories are closed.
That makes sense.
Where the discs are printed, it's not printing.
That makes sense.
But
I mean,
they're going to refund the orders, so
offer it on digital only, but apparently it's not finished. They got a couple more things to finish. And it's hard to do for people working on their own at-home servers. Which are easily
with
hackable.
with families and no, oh my god, here's the official official PlayStation website.
Pick it up, pick it up, pick it up.
The first image you see here. The first image you see is her and her girlfriend.
Partner, lover, we don't know.
True, but I imagine girlfriend because Joel definitely instilled gender norms into her. Fuck yeah, are you kidding me?
You will be part of a heteronormative relationship, even if you're
Judeo-Christian society.
Even if you're with a woman, it has to be still heteronormative. There's a boy and a girl, even if it's two girls. Then
I hate that shit.
I know. It doesn't make sense to me. It never made sense to me.
Oh.
What is happening, Nate?
News. Sorry, folks.
Sorry about that.
You're not here for that. I suppose we're at. Let's see, 2.5 hours.
Mm-hmm.
So we've gone deep.
We should probably wrap it up.
We went to the murky water. We talked about Laugh Aid.
Mm-hmm.
That was a fun conversation. We talked about Final Fantasy 7. Talked about Last of Us.
We went into a little bit of wine education.
little bit of wine education. It's important with the ocean. That wine deserves the respect.
You also got to do them things while you're doing them drinks.
That's right. You got to have thanks and drinks, folks. You can't just have drinks. Don't get me wrong. There's place and time, but during quarantine, I don't think it's a time for just drinking.
No.
It's about development of your mental health, your body development, and more importantly, hopefully you can come closer with the people that you love the most. Final thoughts?
It's been great. You've been great. We've been great. We've had good talks.
Well, I love good talks.
Good talks.
We're going to go ahead now and catch the last of James Gunn doing a watch of Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yes.
Because I'm sure there's a gold mine of Easter eggs in there that nerds will mine for days.
So tell the people where they can find you.
You can find me at Nerdin and Learnin on Instagram and on Twitter at nlearnin. And I would say that we have plans this weekend, but I don't quite have that information. No, we do. Friday. Sorry, I'm very excited about this. Kevin Smith and Mark Bernard and Fat Man Beyond.
Yay!
They're doing a live stream.
And you all should watch it too.
I do suggest you watch them watch it. You can watch us watch them if you want, because we'll be doing some of that. We have that coming up, and Saturday, I don't have anything on the books yet, but thank you everyone for hanging out, and this was a lot of fun.
You can find me at Jordan, Jordann Channing, on Instagram and Twitter. You can also find my fitness Instagram, Jordan, Jordann .gray, GREY .fit. And then you can also follow us, this podcast, on Twitter at Thinks Drinks and on Instagram Thinks and Drinks.
Yes, that's right. And we're incredibly active on both. And if you have questions for one or one of us or either of us, or
you can email us at thinksanddrinkspod@gmail.com.
dates if we want to fill dates. So if you're interested in filling dates, please let us know, and we'll come to you and do a show in your town.
We'll figure it out after all this is blown over.
Hey, that's a terrible way to put it. I love you.
Love you.
This has been the
Thanks.
and
Drinks.
pod.
Cast.
Bye, honey.
Bye.